Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another single song reaction. We are going to react to something that I just saw came out a couple days ago. So, Chris, what do you know about Deep Purple, the band?
I am aware of that song that they have from 200 years ago, and
Smoke on the Water?
that's the one, Smoke on the Water.
Smoke on the
and
Water.
That's about it. And there's
Yeah.
another one they have about something with the word star in it that I think may have been in Guitar Hero 3, but otherwise I don't know Deep Purple.
Oh, I don't know about that one. I see. This is a funny thing. I have obviously I'm aware of Smoke on the Water. Mm-hmm. I honestly don't think I've ever heard the full song, the actual song. Like when I first picked up a guitar, one of the first things I did was go bum 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 bum. Very incorrectly, but that's just what that song is and how iconic it's become. And for whatever reason, I don't remember how this happened, but in like 2011, I think Deep Purple released an album, and I don't know why, what I heard of it that made me interested in it, but I went to Best Buy and I picked up the special edition of it, and I got it and I listened to it, and it's fire from front to back. Just like amazing. It's super heavy. Every song is like this. It's like basically creepy Halloween Rob Zombie music, basically.
Did you show me that album?
I think I showed you part of it.
It sounds familiar.
We may have talked about it. We definitely talked about it when we did our Halloween episode of the Music Room, because they have they have a couple of songs on each one of their albums that are like specific Halloween songs, because that's just like a big part of their like aesthetic, I think. And they, of course, are very famous for using organs and piano and stuff in there. There's a guy who plays the organ in their band. Smoke on the Water is like full of organs.
Wow.
And so like they play church organs in a lot of stuff, church organ-y sounding stuff. And so they lean into the like Dracula, horror aesthetic of stuff. And I don't necessarily think we're going to get any of that in this particular song, though I guarantee you there will be some like creepy horror Halloween stuff on whatever this new album is when it comes out soon, I think. So I just thought, for funsies, we talk about Metallica, we talk about some classic rock on this channel every now and then. With no expectation whatsoever.
Yeah, I have no idea what's about to happen.
Let's just watch this music video from these dudes who are probably in their 150s.
Yep.
And we'll just see what it sounds like.
Absolutely.
So, are you ready to give this a shot?
I am.
All right, let me adjust this a little, make sure. Okay, it's 3:57, not very long. We'll just go ahead and listen to it and see what it sounds like. We're also watching the video, so I'll probably put it somewhere here in the
Portable Door
video as well. Actually, you know what? It might be easier for me to do this. I'll just go ahead and do this. I'll put the actual music video in the video, so my computer might start to stutter and go all crazy and stuff. So yes, Portable Door. I think that's the title of their new album.
Looks like the album is called =1.
Oh, yes, you're right. It's the equal sign. Does it say? It says, this summer a new chapter is set to be written in the Deep Purple story. It's the very first song out now. It doesn't say the exact release date, but I know that you can go pre-order and stuff. So, okay. All right. Let's go ahead and give this a listen. Are you ready?
I am.
All right. Deep Purple, Portable Door, 2024, in 3, 2, 1.
The bass is interesting.
When it came to
The drummer looks big.
Wow.
Man, I was right on the edge. That jacket's too small.
Pretty badass riff,
for a man
though.
of your size, and those socks are too big for your head. My eyes glaze, whatever you say. I'm listening to tell me more. Goes under the bridge, right over.
These guys are all grandpas.
Oh, yeah.
They're the cool grandpas, but they're grandpas. Ooh, that's cool.
I was trapped in a dire situation.
I love the combination of the organ and the guitar to do riffs. It's so cool. That is what they are known
The bass
for.
is so present. It's really the character of it is really interesting.
For a minute or two held the floor.
Ooh.
Keys and guitars are so perfectly matched.
Let's go.
That drummer, man.
Oh yes, keyboard solo. Let's go.
This is riffing, man. This is great.
They're like literally balancing the rhythm guitar off to the side with keys on the other side. That's so cool. Oh, dude, this dude is awesome. I love this guy.
He's been doing this for longer than we've been alive.
By quite a large,
By
like twice the
significant
twice.
margin, yeah.
Both of our ages combined. I'll tell you, there's not a lot of.
He's barely animate.
They cannot move, none of them.
No.
They've all got back braces on and knee braces and replaced shoulders, and who cares?
The keyboard guy, like,
Yeah, he was really getting into it. The bass player, though, that guy, his hands can move because that's some pretty complicated bass stuff going on there. This is like the fourth chorus. That's awesome.
And this sounds fantastic.
It's
as you would expect from a band that's been around.
it's very different sounding than I thought, though, and I'll tell you why in a second. It sounds like a rock record from like the 70s almost, like,
Yeah.
which is I'm sure what they are going for.
But the clarity, the
Yes.
separation of all the instruments is so
Yes,
good.
but it's not overly wide either. It would be too much if it was too wide. Yeah, what? That's cool, man.
That was great.
That is cool.
There's so much more life
July
in that.
19th.
Great.
July 19th.
There's so much more life in that than either of the Power Man songs we just
You know what? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That felt much more inspired
Yeah.
than, and that's sad.
And it made me wonder, like, think to myself, we have this and we had the Peter Gabriel album, like last year, whenever that was, earlier this year. And I do feel like if a band stays a band long enough, there will come a point after they get to be hysterically old that they have this interesting little resurgence where they start having inspired music again. Like it sort of, there's this weird lull that happens.
I could see that. Yep. It's interesting. Okay, so I remembered while that was happening, I was thinking to myself, oh, this isn't the way I thought this was going to sound like sonically. And the reason I thought that was because I remembered why I got into that Deep Purple album from from however many years ago. And I think if I remember correctly, the album was just titled A Question Mark.
Oh.
Maybe. So maybe they do this like symbol thing with the number, like maybe they do that more often. Maybe that's something that has meaning to like the lore of the band or something. But he was either a question mark or 2 or 3 question marks or something. But the reason I decided to give it a listen was because at the time, that was when I was getting into ZZ Top. And when I was getting into ZZ Top, I fell into ZZ Top pretty hard. And I went to like all the like record stores and stuff we had around Omaha because I was living in Omaha at the time. And I would buy like any of the used ZZ Top CDs I could find. And then around that same time, like maybe the year before, the new ZZ Top album, I think it was called La Futura or something like that.
Sounds like a name.
I think it was from like 2000, we're talking like 2012, 2013, maybe. And it came out, and I remember listening to it, and to this day, it's one of the like most massive sounding records I've ever heard in my life. Like, the production on it is like, I mean, it's insane. We were talking the other day about like, what's the heaviest thing you've ever heard? What's the best sounding thing you've ever heard?
Man, I really want to get into that heavy
Like
talk.
if we tried to like do a video where we're like, everyone bring your top 2 most heavy things you ever heard and we'll all listen to them. And I've been thinking about how fun it would be to do a video like that where we say, bring what you think is like the best sounding thing. Can be any genre of music, but like, what's the like most high quality, high fidelity thing you've ever heard? then we'll all listen to it and see. But I remember at the time thinking that album just sounded insane. Like the kick and the snare and the bass especially were just like the most massive things I'd ever heard. And so I went on the wiki and looked it up, the guy who did it, and it said other things that he had done. And he also was the guy that produced this. If I remember incorrectly, he's the same guy that did around that same time Heart released an album. Oh. Which sounds phenomenal as well. And that's definitely my favorite Heart album. And then he also produced and mixed and all this stuff, the Deep Purple album. And so that album sounds very like, it's almost like a Black Keys album. It sounds very raw and dirty and grungy and just like you would imagine more like a ZZ Top album to sound. Uh-huh. Rather than this, to me, which felt a little bit more clean and a little bit less distorted and a little bit more like laid back of a mix. And I don't mean laid back in terms of like, just like there was nothing that was extreme that was happening. Right. Like everything was very sort of subdued and soft, but the mix was still very good. And like you said, you could really pinpoint everything. There was nice layering. Everything fit nicely into the pocket of where it was supposed to sit within the mix. But I was expecting it to be much more dramatically like crazy. And maybe there'll be some songs on the album that are like that. Maybe there won't. Who knows? But like that's all that brought those memories back to me as we were listening to that. So I wanted to share that because I know we were talking about it beforehand. So yeah, I don't know. Did you like that song though? Would you say?
I did. Yeah.
Me too.
I would have no problem being like, oh, that album comes out. Let's give it a run through. I would love to hear what more they do. If only just it's so interesting because these old bands, to go back to it again, like that, the quality of the production in that song is something that you're not going to find everywhere. That is something that comes as just a byproduct of being in an industry for 50 years and having 50 years worth of being a huge band and having infinite money and having nothing but time to really just like get pristine recordings, doing everything that you've known how to do for so long and work with the best of the best. And it's really something that, just like the Peter Gabriel album and like the other things that we've talked about before, like the guy from the Cars, Gary Newman. Gary Newman, yeah. Yep, and how just every time you come across... Hold on, so people don't yell at you. It's not The Cars, his song In Cars. Oh,
he's not from the band The Cars.
Oh, I thought he was. What did he used to be in something?
He was in a band called Gary Newman and the Trapezoids or something like that. But no, he sang that song, Here in My Car, I feel safest of all. I can lock all the doors and it's the only way in cars. Which is what you're thinking of.
What a wonderful thing it is that he stopped doing that and turned into what he is now.
It's a classic song, man. That's a great song.
That's such an awful song.
No.
I hate it.
But yes.
But yeah, he's definitely doing different things now. But once again, the quality of what comes out of these old musicians is just unreal. And then you have new bands with unbelievable pristine recording quality and stuff. But there's a difference. There's something different between new and old bands at their peak and just in the way that they approach it. And I think like I saw this as we're watching this and I thought, I wonder if they're recording to tape. Like they're not. But that's the kind of thing where it's like they pulled some old thing out that no one uses anymore, and they figured out how to use it in a way that is more pristine than anybody would even bother anymore. And there's just something fundamentally different about the mood of the way the production sounds, and it's really cool. The idea that any of them would be still in the business or alive is, I feel like, tough.
Yeah, well, it's like first of all, you don't work in the audio industry and get the job working with Deep Purple and screw it up. You know what I mean? Like,
right. That's the stuff. Exactly.
You're not gonna work with Paul McCartney and make a bad sounding Paul McCartney album, or you might as well go fall off the bed and hang yourself. You know, like, right. It's just like
like that guy in Virginia did.
Like that guy in West Virginia, yeah. But like, there's certain expectations that have to be met with certain artists of a certain level, and like, but what I'm guessing they have probably is people that have been with them for many years, who they trust implicitly to do certain aspects of things. And then they find a studio that they like, or they find someone, or they tour with a young band every now and then, and they're like, we like these guys, we like the way their music sounds. Let's have them work with us on some of this. So then you have a mixture of the old crew and the young guys come together, and it's just everybody there for like the betterment of the entire project, and it becomes this labor of love from everybody to try to have something that sounds special. And like that is not, you don't get that with bands that are just pooping out records for the sake of it, or that don't have the funds to do it right, because that, yes, you can make an album in your basement and have it sound phenomenal. We've heard it done many times. It's possible. But if you're going to invest all this money in your band and in your record, and you're going to have the best people working on it, there's just something special about like all these people coming together for one singular idea to make this album like sound as good as possible. And I'm not even saying that song, like the Deep Purple song we just heard, is like the best sounding thing I've ever heard. No. But like it was really good, and it felt throwbacky. It felt like it should have felt.
It had a classic feel, but in a way that also had a modern pristineness to it. Because old music sounds pretty crappy. There's just a muddiness. There's a lack of fidelity. It can.
Yeah.
Especially the older back, the older it is for all kinds of technological reasons.
Yeah.
And so it's like whatever they're doing is definitely what they would have done before. And they have access to all kinds of modern versions of that to make it sound classic and also really, really clean and nice.
And like I said, that is complete. This song we just heard was a completely different approach overall than the album of theirs that I am familiar with from like 10-ish years ago. So I'll have to go back and give that album another listen. I know exactly where it's out on my shelf. It's the only Deep Purple thing that I own. I was looking right off to the side here, their album Machine Head, which is like one of the most popular like classic rock albums of all time with, Smoke on the Water on it. I can see it literally right here, 5 feet over from me.
I think, is Machine Head also a band?
Yeah, Machine Head is a band, and they're definitely named that because of that album. But Machine Head is a heavy, like a metal band with Rob Flynn. Actually, it's the name of the guy that sings for that band. Oh boy, I know too much about certain things. But no, Machine Head's pretty cool. Chris Schoenberg actually, and interestingly enough, there's like 4 or 5 Machine Head albums that he loves. But then when it got to be the early 2000s, Machine Head started making like new metal rap music, and oh boy, does Chris hate that
he fell off. That must have hurt.
Which that's the stuff that I like. They had a couple songs on their soundtracks, but then they later on came back and just started doing straight up metal albums and stuff again. But it doesn't matter. But yeah. So anyway, interesting. This can just be this video. This is all this needs to be.
Yeah.
We'll see as it gets closer. I don't know if I necessarily want to dedicate an entire 3-hour video, because we can't do a whole album in less than 3 hours, to a Deep Purple album, but it's going to be an album I listen to when it comes out, and maybe it'll catch me. Maybe it'll, maybe there'll be something special about it. So
we do occasionally do a blind reaction in both directions on here, but it's usually something where it's like, this thing has really grabbed me and is phenomenal, and let's talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because every once in a while, a blind reaction is like, well, here's a great big pile of shit. I can't wait to not ever put out this thing we spent all this time recording.
Yeah, but yes. And I don't mind doing that ever if it's for like individual songs of something. That's why doing singles like this are good, because maybe it's possible we could have listened to that and it could have been terrible, but it wasn't. So thankfully that's good. But yeah, if we do a whole album and the whole album sucks, then it's just a slog to get through. And then I'm not gonna waste this 10 hours to edit it, the 15 hours to render it, the extra 3 hours it's gonna take to re-render the audio because the stupid thing was copywritten on YouTube, and then the 5 hours to upload it, and then the extra 3 hours to figure out the timestamps and get the links. So it's like,
don't let anybody tell you that editing video is easy. It is hell.
I got to tell you, when I first started watching reactions, and I would watch like behind the scenes stuff that people would have, or if they'd have like live chats with their fans and stuff, every now and then I would catch them and stuff. And I always used to laugh at people who would be like, I know it sounds so silly, like I get to sit here and watch videos for a living and I make money off of it. It's so great. But like the hardest thing is posting the videos and making thumbnails. Like I remember specifically hearing people say that making thumbnails is like super hard. Let me tell you, there's probably 10 videos I could have posted over the last 2 months that I just didn't because I don't want to make a freaking thumbnail and figure out the timestamps. Like, it is such an arduous task to go through and make a stupid thumbnail.
And you have a reasonable ability to do that. Like, I can't Photoshop anything. I'm useless.
I pretty much know what I'm doing, and it doesn't have to be anything amazing either. You could just put stupid words up there, but like, oh man, it is so taxing, and it's the stupidest thing in the world. And we don't make money off of this either. I just want to point that out. We've never made a dime off of my YouTube channel ever. All the money that any ad you see on my channel goes to the bands that we're talking about in the videos because we don't get any of that stuff. So anyway, all right, 22 minutes in. This is all this needs to be. Thank you, everyone, very much for watching. If you're a big fan of Deep Purple, let us know something from throughout their career we should check out. Let me know if you are familiar with that. Like, I think the album might have even had an exclamation point in it too. Might have been like exclamation point, question mark. I don't know what it was, but
well, I tell you what, if it was a question mark and an exclamation point, then that is called an interrobang.
That's really interesting. I had no clue.
So anyway, their album's called Interrobang.
That's pretty awesome if that's true, which I trust you that it is true. So, well, anyway, let us know any cool Deep Purple stuff we should look into, and we'll probably, if the album is worth mentioning, we will bring it up again later in the year after it comes out. For sure. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you guys next time.